Good evening, FPL Game Week 22. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the fixtures, players to target, captaincy, and then finish off by chatting about my team. This chart shows you this game week who's got the best defence, which would be Nottingham Forest, the surprise package of the season so far. They're at home to Southampton. I think I might be going under the radar just how bad Southampton are. They are one of the worst teams in recent Premier League history. They're terrible. Best attack of the round, furthest over to the right, is Liverpool. Away to Brentford. So looking at this chart right here, you can see that the best captain is going to come from this section here. These four teams. You got Salah for Liverpool, Isak for Newcastle, Haaland, if you still own him, the City, and behind there is Chelsea. I would say Palmer is a good shout for captaincy, but as he's a doubt to play the game on Monday, I wouldn't bother with him. All right, let's have a look. I've got my own model, and I'm going to run through the results of that in this spreadsheet. If I go to the right tab, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Go to the Data X tab. Got all the players, their expected points by each game week. All the good stuff's in here. I'm going to talk about defenders. I don't really want to talk about goalkeepers. You shouldn't be making a goalkeeper transfer. Even with a double game week, I'd rather have an outfield player who double game week players rather than Allison or Pickford. I think you get more value for money outfield players. I think everyone's got Trent. Everyone's got Gabriel and Lewis Hall. I think those three are must-own defenders. Other than that, if you really want to bring in a defender, and it's not one of those three, Daniel Munoz, he is a chap to consider. I was looking at him earlier on, and his numbers, the sort of numbers I like to see. There he is. I tell you what, there's probably three types of people who know who this guy is. There's going to be immediate family members of Dangerous Dan right here. There's going to be Crystal Palace season ticket holders, and there's going to be engaged FPL managers. The average football fan who doesn't play FPL probably hasn't got a clue who this guy is. But what you do want to know is these numbers for a defender, pretty good. Non-pen XG per 90, 0.18, 0.13 expected assists. Good numbers. I like the look of that. So if you need a defender, I still think you might have messed about a little bit. The good fixtures have been and gone. But looking ahead at the fixture ratings, still a good patch for Palace. There they are here. Away to West Ham, home to Brentford, away to Man United. It's hard to know what to expect with them. But yeah, still some good fixtures coming up for Palace. Even though, having said that, I'm really not a fan of making defender transfers unnecessarily. You want to be spending your transfers on midfielders and forwards. If you just look at this here, making a cheap defender transfer, getting in and transferring out a 4.5 defender for another 4.5 defender is not going to move the needle at all. It's so hard for defenders to get bonus points with the new changes this season. We're moving along. Midfielders. Salah, everyone's got him. Everyone's got Palmer. They're just head and shoulders above everybody else. Beyond that, Bruno. He's expensive. 8.5. The risk. He is nailed. He is on pens. Could say the same about Odegaard. He's not in great form. Son's minutes are right down, and you're certainly not getting value for money at 9.8. Nah, I would not recommend getting him in. Man of the moment, Ahmad Diallo. I do like him. I am a fan of him. I brought him in this game week. And he did the business. If we have a look at him, his stats. For a lad who's, well, young lad, not too bothered about his age, more bothered about his price. 5.5. He's nailed. And he's putting up decent numbers. 0.27 over the course of the season. Although, in the last 10 that's up, the last 5 that's certainly up after the Southampton game. That's pumped up his numbers quite a bit. But still, for the price that you're paying, good underlying numbers. I did read on X the other day that he's a generational talent. He scored a hat-trick out of nowhere, 10 minutes against the worst team in the league. Generational talent to go along with Kobe Mainoo, who's a generational talent as well. Anybody for Man United does get overrated quite a bit, don't they? Generational talent. I bet there'll be like some new girl in the canteen. Oh, she's a generational talent. I've never seen anybody make a cup of tea like that girl at that age. Let's just calm down a little bit. But reasonable takes aren't going to get much traction on X, are they? So I've got him. Going to keep him. Another player who had a good game week. The transfer I made was Semenyo out for Ahmad. And yet again, you have a player in your team for good fixtures. He does nothing. You transfer him out because he's got bad fixtures. And he decides to score some goals, get some points. Tale as old as time. Underlying numbers are decent for him as well. He's a player I like, and I'll probably get him back once the fixtures turn. We'll look at the fixtures for Bournemouth. I transferred him out because Bournemouth had Chelsea away, Newcastle away, Forest at home. Forest good defence, Liverpool at home. Obviously, best team in the league. After that, though, I do think I will get him back in the team for Southampton, as I've spoken about them before. Another player that I brought in, bit of a differential pick, was Martinelli. He's done okay so far. The reason I brought Martinelli in was Saka is a long-term injury. Jesus is out injured as well. I brought him in before seeing Sterling play football as well against Spurs. I thought Sterling was awful, absolutely awful. Martinelli's minutes should be secure for the foreseeable future, and great price for him. It's someone to consider. And we'll filter this for forwards. I've got a few things to say about forwards. Obviously, everybody's got Isak in the team. Absolute. Another player who's must own. Haaland. We bothering with him. Nick Jackson. I'm not a big fan, considering the price. Expensive. I don't think you're getting value for money. Do like Wissa. Great price. Not right now. I don't want to bring him in for Liverpool at home. I think the game after that as well is quite hard for Brentford. Yeah, not the best. Palace away. But this stretch here, considering his price, it's an option. But there's two... I'm clicking on the wrong tab. Sorry about that. I don't think we're going to get Cunha back anytime soon. Expensive. Havertz. No, I'm not sure about him. Havertz is one of those players. Just poor finisher. There's two players I'm going to talk about. Chris Wood. You can tell by my tone of voice, I do not own Chris Wood. He has got 13 goals on 7.4 XG. I'll say that again. It's 13 goals on 7.4 XG. He has a massive overperformance. Over 5 goals overperformance. His underlying numbers aren't spectacular, really. Per 90, 0.32. And he's obviously never going to get an assist unless it's have a shot, goalkeeper saves it and somebody taps it in. Underlying numbers, not great. But then people who own him will be like, well, who cares? He kicks the ball in the net, and he's certainly very good at that right now, but it's not going to last forever. I wouldn't be captaining him at home to Southampton. Fixtures are about to turn as well, I think, for Forest as well. Obviously, keep him for Southampton. Bournemouth, underrated team. I would put Fulham in that category as well. Underrated, but you don't want to be owning them for this patch here, do you? Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, City at home. Nah. Maybe get him back in for this stretch after here, starting with Ipswich. It's one of those players. It is frustrating when someone like me, I look at the underlying numbers. Forrest don't score a lot of goals. His underlying numbers aren't great. Not my team. And he just goes absolutely ballistic. He's on fire. Yeah, I'm salty. Moving on. Raul Jimenez. I'm going to die on this hill. I'm on many hills. I'm an expert at dying on hills. Absolutely love it. And my hill, this hill I'm going to talk about, is Raul Jimenez is not a good option. How can he be a good option when he's averaging 63 minutes a game? He's not a good option. Underlying numbers, 0.38 non-pen XG per 90. No, it's not spectacular. Fulham don't score a great deal of goals. They scored 2 goals against Ipswich, but 2 penalties. No, he just doesn't play enough minutes. I'm going to die on this hill. Want another hill? Not for me. Next, I'm going to talk about my team. So, get the team. Here it is. Game week just gone, 76 points. That's okay. That's pretty decent, actually. Yeah, green arrow. I'm sort of getting my way, clawing my way back up to respectability. That's still embarrassing. But the luck, or the lack of luck I have had this season is historic. It's never been seen before. I'm going to do a video about it. I was 7 million about 10 game weeks ago, so it's a lot better than that, but still awful. This game week, there's a thing about looking at your score during the game week, how it can be very misleading. After Tuesday, I only had about 12 points. It was looking like an absolute nightmare game week. You just look at these scores here, all the ones, a few twos, and then boom, Isaac, captain, nailed it. And then Ahmad, 10 minutes, absolutely went crazy. These players right here got about 82% of my total points. It just shows you can have a load of rubbish, but you get a few players who just go ballistic, get mega hauls, and you have a good game week. I mean, Solanke even scored an own goal. Something else I'm going to complain about briefly. Iwobi, 15 points on the bench. It happens. Looking ahead, transfers, and I have been saving up my free transfers. 5 free transfers. I'm going to spend one. Obviously, I need to. Looking at the team right here. As I've mentioned before, everybody needs Trent, Gabriel, Hall. In midfield, everyone's got Salah. Everybody needs to have Palmer as well, and Isaac. So there's not a lot of spaces that are up for debate, up for consideration. The transfer that I am going to make, and this is going to give you some indication of how stubborn I really am. There's a double game week coming up. I can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of the disappointment of João Pedro and bring in the double disappointment of Calvert-Lewin ahead of the double game week. If you think about it, Pedro will get 2 points in the double game week, and Calvert-Lewin will get 4 points in the double game week. I'm a genius. I'm doubling my points. I'm a genius. And as soon as the double game week's over, I'm going to transfer Calvert-Lewin out, probably for Visser. And the other transfer I've penciled in for next game week is this chap right here. This is such a fixtures over form transfer. Man City had no form. They had great fixtures. I brought in Guardiola. I think I brought him in here. Everton, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford. 1 clean sheet out of that lot. That's disappointing. I'm going to keep him for Ipswich, but I don't want him for Chelsea, Arsenal. Now I'm going to get rid of him for a Liverpool player, probably Van Dijk. Possibly his mate, Canate. Where is he? There he is. Van Dijk, come on down, get yourself in the team. So, those are the transfers I've penciled in. Calvert-Lewin. I owned Calvert-Lewin earlier on in the season. I'm sure I swore never again will I own this chap. A few game weeks later, oh, they've got a double game week. I'm going to bring him back, bringing the band back together. And yeah, Van Dijk, I'm going to bring him in double game week. If Dwight McNeil is back playing, perhaps I could bring him in for Iwobi. But I'm not committed to that. I'm not totally set on that. Final thing I'm going to talk about is captaincy. Let's get the table up. There it is. Cole Palmer's got a knock. I'm not going to consider him. I haven't got Bruno. And yeah, I won't consider him because the best three options, Haaland, Isak, Salah. Out of the two, I'm going to go for Salah. Isak's equally good. There's not much, well, they're both on 7.2 expected points. One thing important to consider is the ownership. Salah is, they're both highly owned, but Salah's really highly owned. I think Salah be the obvious, the most popular captain for this game week, and that's who I'm going to go with. I'll have a look at the rest of my team while we're here. My team, I'll make that a little bit bigger so you can see it all. I'm going to go for the disappointment of Sanchez this game week instead of the letdown of Flecken. Team's quite strong. I've got Hall on the bench. I think I prefer to play Iwobi at Leicester over Hall. And I think obviously there's much higher upside with Ahmad over Hall. And Pedro's going to get transferred out for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, if you want to give me like loads of stick about getting Calvert-Lewin, I totally understand. Absolutely. And captaincy, yeah, Salah, mentioned him. Right. Yeah, thank you for watching. Now, before I go, like and subscribe, all that good shit, you know, yeah. Like, subscribe. Cheers.